Welcome to chapter 49 of the book of Jeremiah, a judgment against Ammon. To the sons of Ammon, thus said the Lord. Let's go up to our map and here's the kingdom of Ammon. Jerusalem is here. The Jordan River, Sea of Galilee is up here where Jesus taught, and the Dead Sea is right here. And Ammon, Rabbath Ammon, it'll mention, is here to the east of Israel, and this is all in the country of Jordan. And when we get down further south, we get into what is today Saudi Arabia, and then further east we'll get into other countries as we go through this book. But this is Ammon, and then Moab was in the last chapter, talked about that, and then after Ammon, it'll talk about Edom, and we'll go as we go through there. We'll point these all out. So to the sons of Ammon, thus said the Lord: Are there not no sons in Israel, or is there not one inheriting them? It's sort of like, aren't there any men in America that they're letting this happen to it? What's going on? What happened is that. Why did Milcom inherit Gad? Well, Gad was a tribe of Israel, and they were in that area of Ammon, Gad and Reuben, and so it's using that. Why did Milcom, who was the god of Ammon, who was Molech, the same Molcom, you can see in the Greek, you have Milcom and Molech, and Molcom is the Greek name. So it is Molech is the god, the same one of Moab that we're in first in chapter 48. And why did these people inherit what was given to the tribes of Reuben and Gad on the eastern side of the Jordan? Why did Milcom inherit Gad, the Jews there, and their people dwell in their cities? Here we get into their, Avton, and Avton. Now, it's obvious that there's two different Avtons, peoples. Their people dwell in their cities. So this Avton is, and their people, I'm thinking it was Milcom of Ammon, dwelling in the cities of Israel that Gad was in. This is my take I have on it. On account of this, behold, days come, says the Lord, and I shall cause to be heard upon Rabbath of the sons of Ammon a tumult of war. And we showed that Rabbath Ammon is the name of the city that was right here. Rabbath Ammon. King James has a Rabbah, but it's not. It's Rabbath in the Greek. So again, the Greek is correct, the Apostolic Bible rather than the King James, I believe. And so the days will come, I shall cause to be heard upon Rabbath of the sons of Ammon a tumult of war. Now, as we go through here, I'll point out why I believe this has not happened yet. It's still in the future. Some of the things may have happened that is mentioning in this verse, but to pick and choose which one is very difficult to say it already happened, but I'll show you things in here that I believe have not happened yet. So it would be a time of the future, which, if that was the case, this would be the country of Jordan it's talking about, as well as in the last chapter 48 of Moab, which is also part of Jordan. And they shall be for an untrodden land and for destruction. Well, there's people living in Moab, there's people living in Edom, big cities, so that has not happened yet. Now you might say, well, that happened thousands of years ago and now they're resettled. Well, I don't think there's any place that shows that they were really, that really happened. Actually, the opposite happened, where the Nabatean ruler of down in Edom, it actually became a ruler of Israel. It was King Herod. So, if anything, the opposite happened back in those days. And her shrines shall be incinerated by fire. Now, there you can say, well, what shrines do they have in Jordan today? And I don't think they do have shrines. There is Muslims, and they believe in they're monotheistic, one God. So that would be a good argument that this was something in the past. And Israel shall inherit his rule, says the Lord. Well, there again, Israel is not ruling Ammon. It might have at one period of time, and then it went back and forth. But by the time that this was being written, Ammon, Israel was not ruling Ammon. It's obvious, so it was a future time to that time that Jeremiah was writing, and I don't see where Israel has ever ruled Ammon. Shout, O Heshbon, for Ai was destroyed. Now, Heshbon was fairly close Ai was close to Jericho. Heshbon was up in this area too. It was like the northernmost part of Moab, someplace down in here. And Ai, Gai in the Greek, if the Ai is King James, if there was another place called Gai, I couldn't find it. If it was Ai, then that was by Jericho, where they defeated the attack by Joshua because of the sin of, I forgot his name, a man who hid the treasures when they were destroying Jericho. Cry out, Thigateres, daughter of Thiga, daughter, the derivative of Rabbath, or again Rabbath Ammon. Gird on Sakkus, a sack and sackcloth comes from that. Be possessed and lament over Milcom. And Milcom was also, it's Molcom, so it's the same, it's Molech. For in resettlement, his priests and his rulers shall proceed together. Well, there is no Milcom anymore, and the priests and the rulers are gone for that argument that was at that time there. Why do you exalt in Emakim? Now, in means that would probably be a city, and it's not the Anakim, which were a people of the giants, but Emakim, but I couldn't find it on any map. Why do you exalt in Emakim? Probably part of Ammon. O daughter of the audacity, some people that are audacious, the one relying upon her treasures, the one saying, who shall come to me? Behold, I will bring upon you fear, said the Lord of the forces, from all of your adjacent places. And I think here, when I see that, the audacity of a person thinking he's relying upon his money, and it's not going to be something you would really want to rely upon, because it might be all worthless. You can put all your money in a stock, and the stock could down, the stock market could crash like it did in the 20s, Black Friday, and all of a sudden you've lost everything. And so treasures, relying upon the treasures are not what we as Christians are to do, and people that do rely on them, well, sometimes it works, but probably a lot of times it doesn't. And one's saying, who shall come to me? Basically a selfishness, self-centeredness. Who's going to come to me? People are going to want me. Behold, I will bring upon you phobon, fear. The phobia we've had before is a derivative. Said Kyrios ton dynamion, Lord of the forces. Now, his name is Yahweh, but here we have also of the forces, of the armies, from all of your adjacent places, all the places around Ammon. And you shall be scattered, each unto his front, and there shall not be one gathering of the runaways. So everybody's going to be leaving, fleeing, and there won't be any runaways that they can find. And after these things, I will return the captivity of the sons of Ammon, says the Lord. I believe he said that in the last chapter with the sons of Moab. He'll return the captivity of the sons of Moab, now Ammon. Now, judgment against Edom. Let's go back to our map. We'll find Edom on here. Edom is down here. The Nabateans lived in down here, the rock city of Petra, which was in a gorge. And then at the end of the gorge were these beautiful temples, but they were only two-dimensional. It was just a facade on the front of the rocks. And they carved inside of the rocks rooms and so forth, but it was in the side of a cliff. And they called it Petra, means rock, the rock city of Petra, in the kingdom of Edom, which actually went all the way down into the Persian Gulf, which would be Saudi Arabia today, with Dedan and Teman, who we will read about here shortly. So that was Edom. To Edom, thus says the Lord, there is not yet wisdom in Teman. And that is, Edom is where the Nabateans were, where Herod came from. There is not yet wisdom in Teman, a city further south on that map. The counsel from experts was destroyed. Their wisdom was undone. Their place was beguiled. Deepen to yourself into sitting, O ones dwelling in Dedan. Again, that's on the Saudi Arabia, I think on the coast of the Dead Sea, close to it, fairly close to Mecca, for he made difficult. I led him in the time which I visited against him. Now, what time he's talking about here, was that in the past? I don't know. It doesn't mention it, as far as Edom. The Edomites were always they were at different times at war with Israel and had peace and servitude and back and forth, just as those other nations it mentions. For grape gatherers came to you who shall not leave behind to you vestige. So he's using that as a figure of speech, as basically an army of destroyers. As thieves in the night, they shall put their hands on the people, on Edom. For I dragged down Esau. Esau was Mount Seir, which was in Edom. And so Esau, Jacob and Esau were brothers, sons of Isaac. And Esau went into Edom, and that became his place. I uncovered their hidden things. In no way shall they be able to hide. They were destroyed by the hand of his brother. I don't see, I'm not exactly sure here. I wrote, trying to figure out, well, who is the him here? I'm really not sure, because his brother, is it Nebuchadnezzar? Or is this something in the future? I don't know. They were destroyed by the hand of his brother and his neighbor, and he is not. Let your orphan be left behind, that he should live, and I shall enliven, and your widows shall hope upon me. For thus says the Lord, behold, the ones which were not by law to drink the cup drank, and you, for being acquitted, in no way shall be acquitted, for by drinking you shall drink. These things of God is going to send against Edom is going to happen. For according to myself I swear by an oath, says the Lord, that for an untrodden land and for scorning and for a curse you will be in the midst of her, and all her cities shall be wildernesses into the eon. Well, that has not happened yet. So this is why I believe this is talking about a future of this whole area of Jordan, that it goes up into Syria, that this whole area is going to be a wilderness into the eon. Very, very far in time. It hasn't happened yet, so this has to be something in the future. In hearing, I heard from the Lord, and now in hearing, this is probably Jeremiah, and he sent messengers unto nations, saying, gather together and come to her. Rise up for war. Behold, I have appointed you to be small among nations, despicable among men. Well, I'm not sure, but right now we have a problem in that area. Tomorrow is the 70th anniversary of the country of Israel. All the Muslims are piling up on the border of Israel on the east and the west, in Gaza and on the West Bank. In the West Bank, a lot of those Palestinians are from Jordan, and so they are getting ready to crash over the border. And that's probably going to happen tomorrow. And the United States moved its embassy from Tel Aviv, that was the capital of Israel, now to Jerusalem, where this is the capital that the United States is accepting in Israel, and all the Muslim world is angry. Iranians were just delivered a big blow in Syria, where they had a lot of troops, and 70 missiles rained down on the Iranian compounds and destroyed them. So Iran is upset. All these things are prepared for tomorrow. So next video seminar, I'll let you know what happened if I'm still here. So I have appointed you to be small among the nations, despicable of men, if he's talking about Edom here. Your play took in hand against you. Audacity of your heart deposed holes of rocks. Now, as it could be referring to the rock city of Petra, I'm not sure. It seized the strength of a high hill. For if you should rise up high, your nest is an eagle, says the Lord, from there I will lower you. In Edom, it's Edomea. The Edomeans were the people that were in that rock city of Petra area down there, and the Romans came, and Herod came from Edomea, and there was a peace between the Edomeans and the Romans. You can read about that in Wikipedia on Idumea. And Idumea will be for an untrodden land. All the ones coming upon her shall be amazed and shall whistle over her all her calamities. Well, it's pretty much a desert area anyway, so untrodden. The cities, it sounds like the cities are going to be destroyed. So I don't see that as happening. Otherwise, if it's an untrodden land, well, that's pretty much the way that area is. It's pretty much a wilderness. All Sodom and Gomorrah and her sojourners were eradicated, said the Lord. In no way shall a man sit there. In no way should a son of man dwell there. Well, they are. Tourists are going to Edom. So this has not yet happened, as it's saying here. That's why I see these things of these last chapters of Jeremiah as being something that's in the future to even today. And interesting that 2,500 years ago that a man named Jeremiah would see these things and write them down for a later time. Behold, as a lion is a transliteration, he shall ascend from out of the midst of the Jordan unto the place of Itham. Now, I'm not sure who he's referring to, who is going, he shall ascend. Of course, a lot of people would say, well, John the Baptist was in the Jordan, Jesus was in the Jordan, which was true, but and to the place of Itham, and I don't know where Itham is. I couldn't find that on any place. And the Hebrew transliteration for that is strength, the place of strength. For quickly I will drive them from her, and you set the young men against her. For who is as I, and who shall oppose me, and who is this shepherd who shall stand in front of me? Boy, this is a lot of things that are unknown to me that he's talking about here. In the future, maybe people will see exactly what he was talking about. Whoever this person was and these young people are, how they're opposing who the shepherd is that's standing in front of him. We'll find out, I suppose, or you'll find out, whoever's listening to this. On account of this, acusate, hear the plan of the Lord, which he planned against Edom, Idumea, and his device, which he devised against the ones dwelling Teman, which is down further, Saudi Arabia. Surely the least of the sheep shall be scraped away. Surely their resting place shall be made impassable. From the sound of their downfall, the earth was shaken. Your cry in the sea was heard. So this upheaval of this whole land is going to happen. Behold, as an eagle, he shall ascend. Again, who is the he? The beast possibly, and shall see and shall stretch out the wings against her fortresses. And the heart of the strong ones of Edom will be in that day as the heart of a woman travailing. So whoever this is coming against Edom is going to be terrifying to these people and do a lot of damage, could very well be the beast. Another reason I believe it's in the future, now we go into Damascus, and let's go to our map, and here is Aram. Damascus is up here, and then Jerusalem is here, and they just lobbed 70 missiles, and one of them was in the airport of Damascus, where they had a building with supplies of weapons. So something is going to happen with Damascus, and what's happening today to Damascus. Hamath was disgraced, and Arphad. Hamath was 130 miles north of Damascus, and very well might have been attacked by these rockets of Israel. For they heard an evil report. And Arpad, you can go into Wikipedia, is up by the Turkish border in Syria by Aleppo. And there's things going on up in that area that they were attacked by the Israelis. They were startled. They were enraged. It just happened yesterday, day before. In no way shall they be able to rest. And they haven't done anything. They can't stop Israel from doing these attacks. Even Iran hasn't done anything. And Russia's there. And Russia hasn't done anything against Israel. Little postage stamp country attacking all these, and nobody's doing anything. Damascus was enfeebled. She was turned to flight. Trembling took hold of her. Straightness and grief constrained her as the one being in travail, going to have a baby. So all these things are happening, are going to happen, even worse with Damascus, I believe, maybe very soon here, days. Oh, how was the city not left? Oh, how was the praised city not left, the town being loved? So it's going to be gone. On account of this, young men shall fall in your squares, Damascus, and all the men warriors of yours shall fall in that day, says the Lord of the forces. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall devour the plaza of the son of Hadad. And in the Greek it's Adar. Now, who that is, it could be somebody from today, an Assyrian, or if it was one of the Hadads, they were kings of Syria back at the time of Jesus or before, during this time, could very well. To Kedar, Kedar is also in Wikipedia. You can read about Kedar, and to the queen of the courtyard. There was the Kedar rights were all around the Syria, to the south of Syria. They went around. There was a large tribe of people at that time. So there should be a section break here because we're at the end of Damascus now with the Kedarites and to Kedar and to the queen of the courtyard. And they did have queens, and it mentions that in Wikipedia if you want to go there, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, struck. So now we have a name here which he has struck. So now we see it's a time that was going on there at that when it was Jeremiah was writing. Thus said the Lord, rise up and ascend unto Kedar and strike the sons of Kedem. And that's probably the sons of the east, number 6924 in Gesenius. It's an Old Testament word, and it's probably Arabia. This is the best guess. And they shall take their tents and their sheep, their garments and all their vessels, and they shall take their camels for themselves. And you call upon them destruction round about. Flee exceedingly. You deepened into sitting down in the courtyard, says the Lord, that is the Kidarites. For Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, planned against you a plan, and devised against you a device. Rise up and ascend upon a stable nation. Now, these people could very well be people in the easternmost part of Syria. Could be the, I forgot what they're called. Their northern part of Syria, and they're into Turkey, the Kurds, I don't know. People over in that way. It could be more of the Aramaic peoples. They were on the more eastern part of Syria rather than the ones that were in Damascus. Rise up and ascend upon a stable nation. O sitting down for respite in which there is not doors nor bars, alone they rest up. And their camels will be for plunder, and the multitude of their cattle will be for destruction. Now, I could be talking about these people coming down into Arabia. And I shall winnow them with every wind, being shaven in front of them. From out of every side of them I will bring their enemy, routing them, said the Lord. And the courtyard will be for a pastime of ostriches, and an untrodden place unto the aeon. In no way shall a man be seated there, nor in any way should a son of man dwell there. Another place is going to be no people. The whole Middle East is getting wiped out. Just in this 49th chapter is turning into a wilderness with very few people living there. Now it changes again in verse 34 to Elam. Who is Elam? Well, Elam is over here. That's called Iran. And Iran today has sent all these mercenaries up here into Syria. There's Hamath right here, as mentioned, north of Damascus. So they are scattered all over here. They came across and in stealth, and Israel just shelled all these areas of the Iranians that they have over here, and the Iranians are threatening Israel with all these rockets. They really don't have anything more except for rockets. They don't have a navy, and the Air Force is very small. It could get wiped out very easily. But the Iranians and the Syrians over here at Damascus are allies. And then right up here, north of Vivlos, is a base that the Russians have, two bases. One is a naval base, and the other is an air base. So this is all the area that all these people are against Israel, and they have not been able to defeat Israel. And Elam is Iran. So now let's go back and see what happens to Elam. And came to pass the word of the Lord to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, so this was towards 11 years before the destruction of Jerusalem. Thus says the Lord of the forces, again, thus says the Lord, behold, I break the bow of Elam, the source of their dominions. Well, it hasn't happened. And the Persians in that area got stronger at this time, and they ended up defeating Babylon, and they became the world power, and they attacked even into Greece until Alexander the Great came along, and Alexander the Great came and defeated the Persians, which was Elam. And now today, Elam has been in existence, still is today, but we see the bow is their armaments are going to be broken. And I shall bring upon Elam 4 winds from out of the 4 uttermost parts of the heaven. Well, who is that? The 4 winds could be the United States right now. Has allies with France and Germany and England are the main 3 allies with the United States, and they're going to come against Iran. I don't know. And I will scatter them in all these winds, and there will not be a nation which the ones being pushed out of Elam shall not come. Well, they haven't been pushed out of Elam, so again here we have the future being shown to us, I believe. And I shall terrify them before their enemies, seeking their life. And I will bring upon them evil according to the anger of my rage, says the Lord. And I will send my sword as a successor after them until the completely consuming them. Elamites of Iran have not been completely consumed. But here's even more. I will put my throne in Elam. And God is saying this. He's going to put his throne in Elam. Does that mean Jesus is going to be there? And very interesting. And I will send out from there a king and great men, says the Lord. And it will be at the latter ends, here we go, of the days I will return the captivity of Elam, says the Lord. Again, the latter ends, that the Iranians then will come back. Maybe the land will all be irradiated. How do you say that? Where the like in Japan they had the Fukushima nuclear plant was destroyed in the tsunami, and irradiation could be in that area, and then finally it dissipates and they're able to come back maybe in a long time, even after the beast that God resets up this area. That's a possibility, but all this shows it hasn't happened yet. And all the things happening today gives me the willies. I'm like, ooh, wow. I mean, tomorrow is going to be really interesting. Next, chapter 50, the word against Babylon. And we know where Babylon is. But we'll learn all about this Babylon, if it is the Babylon that's at that time between the Tigris and Euphrates, or if it's talking about another one. So we'll find out in chapter 50. And I hope you'll join us. And God bless.